Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to Dr. Wahidah and our fellow classmates. First, we would like to introduce our group members.
Hi, my name is Fatah binti Muhammad and my matric number is 1181012.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Atifah binti Salili. My matric number 1181029.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening. My name is Nur Zafira binti Murni. My matric number 1181030.
My name is Nur Azrin binti Asrahal. My matric number is 1181031.
Hi everyone, my name is Sabrina binti Zulkifli and my matric number is 1181032.
Al-Mas'udi lived in period 896 to 956 AD and was born in Baghdad. Baghdad is the capital of Iraq and the second largest city in the world. Al-Mas'udi was an Arab historian, geographer, and traveler. He is sometimes referred to as the Herodotus of the Arabs. Why he is referred to as the Herodotus of the Arabs? It is because Al-Mas'udi was the first Muslim historian to combine history and geography. Al-Mas'udi also lived in the era of Golden Age. The Islamic Golden Age refers to a period in the history of Islam traditionally dated from the 8th century to the 13th century, during which much of the historically Islamic world was ruled by various caliphates and signs. Economic development and cultural works flourish. This period is traditionally understood to have begun during the reign of the Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid, with the inauguration of the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, where scholars from various parts of the world with different cultural backgrounds were mandated to gather and translate all the world's classical knowledge into the Arabic language. There are many scholars that found in the era of Islamic Golden Age, such as Ibn Rushd, Al-Ghazali, Al-Kindi, Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, Jabir bin Hayyan, Al-Khwarizmi, Ibn Haytham, and Ibn Khaldun.
Biography of Al-Mas'udi. His name is Abu Al-Hasan Ali bin Al-Hussein bin Ali Al-Mas'udi, also popular with the nickname Al-Mas'udi. Is the great Arab historical geographer at 10th century. Al-Mas'udi was born in the city of Baghdad towards the end of the 9th century during the reign of Caliph Al-Mu'tadid, but the exact year of his birth is not known. There are many opinions on what year Al-Mas'udi was born, but based on Ahmad Shobul in his book, Al-Mas'udi was born in the year 895 century in Baghdad and died in 956 century in Fustat, Egypt. Al-Mas'udi was a descendant of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, a companion of Prophet Muhammad, and received the surname of Al-Mas'udi because of his grandfather. His family was closely related to Iraq, because during the reign of Uthman ibn Affan, his grandfather migrated to Iraq. Al-Mas'udi educational background. Al-Mas'udi was exposed to many different branches of knowledge because his family gave serious attention to knowledge and he living in the most important center of knowledge during that time. Al-Mas'udi learned to read and write from his parents. When he was a child, he showed deep interest in learning, has an outstanding memory, a capacity to write quickly, and had never-ending curiosity that led him to study a wide variety of knowledge, ranging from history and geography. Al-Mas'udi, also a well-reader in philosophy, the works of Abu Yusuf Yaqub ibn Ishaq al-Kindi, known as the philosopher of the Arabs. He also learned from Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Zakaria al-Razi, who believed the world was made up of 5 elements: the creator, the soul, matter, time and space. He became an acquaintance with the work of Abu Nasir Muhammad ibn Tarhan al-Farabi, who was often called the second teacher for his thoughtful commentaries on the works of Aristotle. Al-Mas'udi studied with many prominent teachers of his time who were famous in different branches of knowledge at that time. He had no doubt become interested in poetry from an early age and began to think of writing of a work on history and geography. He names among his teachers such as famous philologists of the late 9th and 10th century such as Al-Waqi', Al-Zajjaj, Ibn Durayd, Niftawai, Ibn al-Anbari and his friend Suli. Besides that, he also interested in Muslim law and theology, and he attended lectures from famous jurists such as Abu al-Abbas Ahmad ibn Suraj and Ibrahim bin Jabir. These teachers gave a solid background in the Muslim knowledge and intellectual currents available in the capital. His curiosity inspired him to first study foreign books and language, second, converse with non-Muslim including Jews, Christian and Zoroastrian, third, cultivate and engage in both space and time in distant places outside the Muslim world, and last, to undertake extensive trips to pursue his interests. Al-Mas'udi was not content to learn merely from books and teachers, but he traveled widely to gain first-hand knowledge of the countries about. Al-Mas'udi also acquainted with many influential Islamic scholars of that time, such as Al-Jubai, Al-Hasan ibn Musa al-Nawbahti, Ibn Abdak al-Jurjani, and Abu al-Qasim al-Baqi al-Kabi. By that time, Al-Mas'udi had become one of the many seekers of knowledge. He lived and developed as a scholar at a time when geography played an important role in the cultural and political life of the Arab Muslim government.
Next is Al-Mas'udi road trip. The majority part of Al-Mas'udi's life has been spent with traveling. All his journey was unrelated to any official mission, but he sought to understand the world. In 915th century, when he was about 20 years old, Al-Mas'udi left Baghdad and headed to Iran, where a highly developed culture existed since ancient times. Al-Mas'udi returned to Baghdad and proceeded to Mansura and Multan in 916th century, whereas Mansura is a capital of the province of Sindh, while Multan is at Pakistan. From Mansura, Al-Mas'udi travelled to Surat in Gujarat. This is where he had his first-hand contact with Hindu civilization, which had given the works of Aryabhata to Islamic astronomy. On the western coast of India, he landed in Malabar, visited Sri Lanka and sailed from there to Sumatra, Indonesia and Malacca, Malaysia. From here, Al-Mas'udi travelled northward to Cantonine, Guangzhou, China. After retracing his path around the edge of the Indian Ocean, he sailed to the south, the island of Madagascar, and the east coast of Africa. He described Sofala as a golden city, an African city as rich and prosperous. In 922 century, Al-Mas'udi returned to Basra and wrote his first book, which The Meadows of Gold and Mines of Gems, also known as Muruj al-Dabab, in which he described in fascinating detail the location, geography, and ecology of the land he had visited. Al-Mas'udi travelled to the Damascus, Syria first, and then to the Fustat, Cairo, Egypt. He wrote his second volume, Muruj al-Zaman, in 30 volumes. He recorded the cultures, religious practice, and custom of the peoples he had visited and made observation on their civilizations. He was the first historian who wrote based on empirical observation and inductive science. In 995, he wrote Kitab al-Awsat, in which he lists chronologically the historical event from ancient time till the year 995 century. His last work, Kitab At-Tanbih wal Ishraf, was written in the same year of his death, which is in 956 century, that provides a summary of his earlier work. Various research on the contribution of Al-Mas'udi to historical writing have been done. Al-Mas'udi managed to write 36 books in his lifetime, but only 2 of which survive. First one is Muruj al-Dabab, second one is Kitab At-Tanbih wal Ishraf. His masterpiece, the book Muruj al-Dabab, also known as Meadows of Gold, is one of his famous works. This book can be regarded as an anthology of geography. In this book, physical geography is combined with human geography. He sought to merge geography with history and make his research more meaningful and important. He offers also a description of earthquake, seas in the Dead Sea, and other geographical problems. His personal experience in various places are told in this novel. A short time before his death, the Book of Information and Overview, known as Kitab At-Tanbih wal Ishraf, was published as an outline of his literary career. It does contain more independent details, as if it is shorter than the Meadows of Gold and similar. Despite the relative anonymity of his life, the surviving works of Al-Mas'udi had a great influence on history ever since, and foreshadow the large and ecumenical interest of the much later historian Ibn Khaldun.
Next, let's take a look about the contributions of Al-Mas'udi. Al-Mas'udi is an author of Muruj al-Dabab wa Ma'din al-Jawhar, or in English we call Meadows of Gold and Mines of Gem. It is about his personal experience in various countries. It has 9 volumes and contains 365 chapters. Al-Mas'udi supplies a lot of theoretical information about world geography. Lund and Stone is the translator and editor of Muruj al-Dabab wa Ma'din al-Jawhar in English version. Next contribution is the world map. Al-Mas'udi recorded America across the ocean in his famous map and referred to it as the unknown land 600 years before Columbus. Al-Mas'udi recorded in the Meadows of Gold and Quarries of Jewel that a Muslim sailor, Ibn Aswad, sailed through the oceans of darkness and fog in year 889 century and returned with treasures of gold and silver. The map and the descriptions have led to the speculation that the Americas were known to the Arabs and the African. Al-Mas'udi on pre-Islamic Arab religions and belief. He analysed and made a comparison between religions and belief before the presence of Prophet Muhammad. He divided the religions and belief in the different parts. The comparative method helped him in detecting the changeable of religion affect the human being and how the human being influence the religion. Al-Mas'udi perceptions of northern India. Al-Mas'udi has travelled and stayed at the northern India for 4 years. He made a research about the social, political and religious life of Indians based on his personal observation. The information about this is significant for understanding India, especially from Arab perspective.
Next, determine limits of the oceans and continents. Al-Mas'udi was determined the location and size of the 7 seas. The 7 seas were situated between the Arab state and China. The Arab traders who were having trade relation with China had to cross the 7 seas. The name of the 7 seas is Sea of Persia, Sea of Larrabee, Sea of Henket, Sea of Sherlahid or of Calabar, Sea of Cambridge, Sea of Sif, Sea of Sech. Next, state of the earth and the distance from the continent of Europe to the state of China. Al-Mas'udi wrote in his work Muruj al-Dabab. He has described the state of the earth and the distance from the continent of Europe to the state of China. Half of the circumference of the earth.
Conclusion. This is the story of Al-Mas'udi's life, which is still well known in all parts of the world. As a student, what we can learn from Al-Mas'udi was his love for knowledge. Love for geography is not enough to speak, but it must be accompanied by effort, seeking, demanding, thinking, observing, exploring, and doing it diligently. Al-Mas'udi also had determination so high that he was involved in sailing all over the world. I think that's all from our group. Thanks for listening and watching. Thank you.